Call the Oak Park Heights City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 27th to order, and first is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is the approval of the agenda, and we have one additional item under old business, and we're going to switch it to be item A. And that'll be Yard Waste Collection Day, and then Washington County 58th Street Extension Project update will be item B.
I move approval of the agenda with those changes.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Doherty, second by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is council staff reports. On the 6th, I attended the Night to Unite, and then on the 15th, I had, actually I've had several of them, Energy Transition Advisory Commission meetings, and then had League of Minnesota Cities Improving Local Economies. Then on September 10th, it will be the third quarter XL meeting. Metro Cities Transportation, League of Minnesota Cities Improving Local Economies, and then on the 9th, I have Regional Council of Mayors. And then I'd just like to make a comment that our cameraman, who has been with us for quite a while, Mr. Murphy, is retiring, so this is his last night, so before we leave, thank him. Next is Councilmember Doherty.
Yeah, Parks and Trails Commission was canceled for this month. I attended Night to Unite down at Cover Park, and attended the ribbon cutting for Cornerstone Motors.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
I also hosted a Night to Night block party. I attended the Middle St. Croix Watershed meeting, and then I also chaired the second Improving Service Delivery Policy Committee meeting for the League, where we discussed EAB and EMS response.
Thank you. I should have mentioned too, at Local Economies, it came up about cost sharing with, and also with Metro Cities Transportation with regard to cost sharing on city road projects that are in conjunction with county and state projects.
So I to share.
Yeah, I sent some of the information to our administrator so that you could be on top of that one. Councilmember Liljegren.
I attended the last Planning Commission meeting, and both those items are on our agenda tonight under new business.
Thank you. Councilmember Rook.
Yeah, I attended the Night to Unite party that was hosted by Councilman Johnson. I had a meeting with Commissioner Visitor Bureau this month, and the Cable Commission actually did meet for once.
Wow, it's been a while. Well, thank you. Next is Administrator Rife.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Just wanted to give a quick shout out here to our Public Works staff. Appreciate all their work here this morning, this afternoon, just related to cleanup from the storms that we had here overnight and this morning. So a lot of good work that they did here behind the scenes. Just want to recognize their efforts for getting the roads cleared up and making sure our community looks like we expect it to.
And if I could add on to that, Mike Wilhelmy, our East Metro manager for XL, was excellent. I texted him at 5:50 this morning and told him the power was out, and he was very good on keeping communication going all day so that we had some idea when the city would be up and running again. Next is Chief Hansen. Where are you?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to express a great appreciation for everybody attending the Night to Unite parties and hosting the parties. We had council members, planning commissioners that hosted them. We had 13 block parties total, which is our highest number, and it was a lot of fun that night, and the weather was great. So thank you again for helping out with that event. Secondly, we just have just a reminder, school is back in session. Everybody was kind of back in session today, but then they were immediately told to go back home at the high school. So at 10 o'clock or 9:45 because of the power outage. But we're just asking for everybody to take a little bit extra time to get used to your new traffic patterns as they get to drop off their kids and whatnot. It's always a little bit congested in there. We'll have extra staff on for that first couple of weeks, of course. But that's it.
Thank you. Assistant Administrator Pinsky.
Mayor and Council, I have 2 recycling award winners to announce this evening. AJ Perrone at 6395 Pecan Avenue North, and Kevin and Amy Madicat at 15087 Upper 63rd Street North. Both households had their recycling out during the month of August, and they are recognized for contributing to recycling and keeping things out of the waste stream.
Thank you. Next is visitor public comment section. This is a time for anybody who would like to address the council on any topic. Some of these, I think we're all here for the same thing. So we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is approved bills and investments, check 70875 to 70931 for $316,718.30. Approved bills and investments 70932 to check 70969 for $189,417.68. Approved city council work session from July 23rd, 2024. Authorize or approve city council minutes, July 23rd, 2024. Authorize staff to contract with Badger State Inspection LLC for the water tower cleaning and inspections. Authorize staff to enter into a contract with Bituminous Roadways, Inc. for replacement of the 58th Street Trail. Approve agreement with Xcel Energy to allow for the installation of playground equipment at Oak Park Crossing. And approve contract with Loeffler for the replacement of the City Hall building security cameras.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Runk, second by Councilmember Liljegren. Jacob?
Councilmember Doherty?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Liljegren?
Yes.
Councilmember Runk?
Yes.
Mayor McCumber?
Yes. Next, we have a public hearing for tonight, which is a public hearing on requests regarding noise ordinance for concert at St. Croix Yacht Club on October 12th, 2024. And I'll open the public hearing to see if there's anyone here who would like to talk about that. Jacob, did you have an update on it?
Assistant Pinsky will
Sure.
provide an
Jen,
update.
sorry.
No problem, Mayor and Council. The Yacht Club, once again, this is the third year, I believe, that they've had their annual concert. It's an indoor concert. However, they are hiring a DJ, and the sound system can be heard outside of 100 feet of the building. And so the city ordinance does require that after 10 p.m. that you are not able to audibly hear the system beyond 100 feet, and they're requesting a deviation just this one time for their concert until midnight. After 11 p.m., they are, instead of having their DJ, they're just going to be playing music off of a Bluetooth speaker. No public comments have been received written or oral, I see, so that is my report.
Thank you. And there is no comment on that one?
I'll move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Runk, second by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Doherty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then we'll move on to new business, which is conditional use permit and home occupation permit for transient lodging, short-term rental at 13891 56th Street North. Scott?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Keith and Kimberly Warner have made this applications for a conditional use permit to allow for transient lodging, short-term rental like Airbnb, VRBO, in the lower level of their home. The Warners live in the house and will continue living in the house. It'll just be a lower level rental, and it actually has been in operation, and it was caught by our city staff in terms of not having a conditional use permit. We have a few others in the community, but this is the first one to go through a newer ordinance that requires a conditional use permit. So again, it's owner occupied. There is a fairly good-sized driveway that it could accommodate up to 4 cars. Property is zoned R1 single-family residential. The Planning Commission, there were some people both in favor and not in favor of this request at the public hearing. Some were concerned about having strangers in the neighborhood, additional traffic created by this, so they're not in favor. But others have noted that, they walk their dogs, they're in the neighborhood, and they haven't sensed any difference in the neighborhood because of this Airbnb rental. So with that, Planning Commission discussed it. We made a few tweaks to the conditions to make sure that there's a condition stating that it has to be owner occupied, and that also something that our city attorney had suggested, that taxes, the lodging tax, be retroactive from if it's approved, that they need to pay the tax for the previous rentals. So with that, the planning commission then recommended favorably for this. Any questions?
No, thank you very much. I did watch the planning commission and then also looked at their site too, and then received some emails from different residents, and then I understand what you're saying. I heard some that were for, some that were against, and the fact that this is the first one with a conditional use, I kind of like it better this way, because if there are any problems, the conditional use can be canceled at any time, so long as they don't comply, where with the others, they were grandfathered and we didn't have that option.
Exactly.
So I think, you know, with going ahead with this, although I'm not always in favor of having more rentals or Airbnbs in the city, the CUP, I think, is a real security for us.
You know, and staff has discussed the current ordinance, and Kevin and I have discussed it, and I think we need to make some tweaks to it. There is, again, it's part of the home occupation section, but they don't talk to each other. The two sections of the ordinance don't talk to each other. So you'll probably see in the next few months some suggested changes to that, just to beat that up a bit, so.
Well, I talked to our administrator. There's a couple other things before you get too deep in the weeds on that I'd like to,
Sounds
maybe
good.
we have a work session to talk about it.
Maybe
That'd
that's
be
a good idea.
beneficial, yeah, because I had some
That'd be
similar
good.
concerns.
Okay. Any comments from any?
One question I had is, are we requiring, I know some cities are requiring the use of like Ring camera systems for Airbnbs, just to make sure if you're having people coming in and out, you're aware of who's coming in and out. Is there any way for us to make that a condition, or do we have that as a condition somehow?
You know, I wonder about privacy issues. I don't know if the attorney has any thoughts on that. I haven't run across that as being a condition in these, but.
Yeah, and I haven't personally seen that as a condition. I think it's a reasonable condition, and if the council thinks they want to impose that to ensure some level of security or things of that nature, I think that's probably within your rights. If the entire council wants to add that as a condition, I think you should certainly make note of that, and we'd work it into the resolution.
What do you guys think? I'm open either way. I just was wondering,
Yeah,
since I know some do.
I think of the ones that are non-owner occupied, I think that's just to make sure that the size of the people are. I mean,
Maybe
I have no problems either way, but, yeah.
Maybe have that discussion when we tweak the ordinance, and then going forward, it's that way. Maybe the applicant could talk, maybe they already have a Ring camera, then we don't need to put that condition on it. But we could do it on any future ones. Any other comments?
You mean, the retroactive taxes is included here someplace?
Yeah,
I
it's
missed-
in the resolution.
Condition 7 at the very end of the resolution.
Okay.
Mike, did you have any comments? Kim and Keith, did you have any comments? No. Do you have a Ring camera? Maybe that
We
answer what.
don't, but I tried to put in the cameras, so they still,
Okay.
we'd like to have the same, make sure, we didn't even know what it needed.
Okay.
So he's coming back, but, we haven't done it. I think we're gonna do it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Scott, or any more discussion? Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Liljegren. Jacob?
Councilmember Doherty?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Liljegren?
Yes.
Councilmember Runk?
Yes.
Mayor McCummer?
Yes.
Mayor, Council, just one thing. I assume that was for the resolution.
Yes.
And then another item that needs to be discussed or taken action is a home occupation permit for this, for the use.
Oh, okay. So is there a motion to require a home occupation permit for this business?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Liljegren, second by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
All set. So then we'll move on to Alchemy Sound Vision Conditional Use Permit for Office Service Use and Design Guidelines Site Plan Review at 5963 Odell Avenue North. Scott?
Yes, Mayor, Council. This is a vacant lot at the corner of Odell Avenue and 60th Street North. It is a audio-visual installation company, currently located in Minneapolis. They're looking at moving to the East Metro. Base of their business is primarily large national accounts, about 75%, 25% are local. They are proposing a building. There's a lot of trees on that lot now, for those of you who have passed by there recently. But they're proposing a building 2 stories, 13,000 square feet, includes 7,000 square feet of office space and 6,000 of warehouse space. Right now, they just have 2 service vans. Those will be parked within the structure. The building itself is compatible to the zoning, the way it's been designed, but it's the conditional use permit is required for the type of business. Just because this is a residential business transitional district, we have R1 single family to the south. It's felt with these type of businesses that we process them as a conditional use. There was a neighborhood meeting that Mr. Larson had conducted on August 2nd, and according to him, we didn't have any takers to that meeting, but we thank him for making that effort. The report goes through pretty completely what the type of business, the number of employees, the square footage, and so forth. So again, no issue with the building as proposed, meets all the setbacks. I would say the only thing that we the question is probably the landscape plan and screening. We're working with the applicant. There's conditions related to that as far as making sure that fencing and specifically any issues with headlights, with the people coming in and out of the business at night. Shouldn't be an issue with traffic, even with Mr. Larson's expansion plans. Should not be an issue with the number of vehicles. And the driveway for this is quite a significant distance away from the existing single-family residential. So again, mainly with those conditions related to landscaping and screening, you'll see kind of the list of standard conditions we have for new buildings and for a business like this. Yeah, again, if we get another tenant in, and let's say it's a medical service business, they'd have to go through another conditional use permit for that. But again, Planning Commission was quite favorable to this. We did not have any neighbors present at the public hearing for this one either. So there is a resolution in front of you for your consideration tonight.
And I did watch that planning commission too, and I was very pleased to see no bike rack this time.
No bike rack?
You can thank Jim Kramer for that.
Where's Mr. Kramer tonight?
Well, a little bit different type of business. If the employees have bicycles, they lift up a garage door and they can drive their bikes right in, which is probably what they would do. So,
Mike?
But Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that was brought, the screening and all that stuff was brought up at the planning commission and discussed, and I thought the applicant was amenable to
yes,
that south.
very much.
So wasn't that all, did that all get rectified?
We'll take another look. I know that we still have some, with the tree inventory and some issues that need to be resolved.
Okay.
We'll resolve also any additional screening or landscaping necessary. I think we wanted to beef up the amount of landscaping, especially to the south and a little bit to the east. So before he gets a building permit, we'll have to resolve the tree issues and make sure that the landscape plan is up to snuff.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Scott? Their motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Liljegren, second by Councilmember Doherty. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait,
No.
resolution.
Councilmember Doherty?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Liljegren?
Yes.
Councilmember Runk?
Yes.
Mayor McCumber?
Yes. Then we'll move on to old business, which is yard waste.
Welcome to our Pine City. This is Paul Larson.
Welcome. When do you start construction?
Hoping this fall still.
Okay.
Might be spring.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Next is under old business, yard waste collection day. Jennifer.
Mayor, Council, Council had requested staff look into the option to host a fall cleanup a little differently than we've done in the past, a yard waste only one. The council earlier this year had made the decision to have one cleanup day this year with the option to discuss having a yard waste only one in fall. Staff reached out to some vendors and did receive one quote from Tennis Sanitation to have a one-day collection and the Anderson Corporation parking lot, same parking lot as we do our semi-annual cleanups, and it would be a significant cost saving compared to having a full cleanup day. However, there is still an expense to it, and so staff is requesting council discuss and determine whether that is something that you'd like to have this year.
Did they give you a suggested date for it?
No, I do not have a date yet.
Okay.
Typically, we do host our cleanup days the first weekend in October. That may, with the weather we've had this year, I think leaves will be dropping a little bit later. So we might want to consider having something a little later in October.
I got a question. When did they stop? When did sanitation, or last year, Tennis stop yard waste collection?
November 15th. So after November 15th, they have nowhere to bring the leaves and yard waste, and so we definitely need to have it prior to November 15th. It's difficult because sometimes, like last year and
Because last year
this
was a problem.
Yeah.
Everyone was stockpiling it alongside their
Yes.
house and stuff because we went so late with leaf pickup and all that stuff. People were
Yes.
complaining that, what are we gonna do? They quit coming to pick it up, and then people were complaining about, neighbors were complaining about, 10, 15, 20 bags on the side of somebody's house that sat there all winter.
Yes, and their hands are tied. It's not just a Tennis Sanitation thing. It's every hauler doesn't have a place to bring the yard waste after November 15th. And so we definitely want, if this is something the council wants to do.
Hopefully, we don't have too many more storms like last night that blew a lot of things apart. My suggestion would be go ahead and get a date with them and then just circle back with council, maybe whether it's on weekly update, and then get the cards mailed out as soon as possible so people are aware of it. Or when's the next newsletter that goes out too?
The end of September, so I think that would be timely if we did a later October one if the council.
I'd recommend if we do a late October or early November, just because so much of it's going to be leaf pickup, that as late as we can do it, we should.
As late as you can, and then just
do it
notify
before
everybody as soon
this.
as possible.
Before the snow flies. So that's-
Remember, I had to sit up there all day.
All I'm thinking about is the Halloween blizzard because.
Yeah,
It snowed last Halloween, so it's not cursive. It's all knock on wood.
It's been a strange year for weather, so anything could happen. So is there a motion to have Jennifer go ahead and start working on that?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Runk. All in favor?
Aye.
Then next, we have Washington County 58th Street Extension Project Update Presentation. And I know quite a few of you are here that might have a lot of questions, so that's kind of why we moved this to the later part. We'll go through the presentation first, and then if you have questions, comments, just come up one at a time and just tell us your name and address. And you could tell us your name, too.
Perfect. Yeah, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, fellow residents. My name is Ryan Haves. I'm with Washington County Public Works. I'm the project manager for this County Road 15 connection project, and I'm here tonight to give you guys an update. So this evening, I'm going to review the area transportation improvements and talk specifically about the County Road 15 connection project, including the public engagement efforts, traffic study, the project layout, and the schedule. So there's been a lot of work going on. Since the St. Croix Crossing opened, Trunk Highway 36 has seen an increase on average of almost 7,000 vehicles per day. Washington County and local agencies have been busy planning and constructing improvements to handle this increased traffic demand on the area transportation network. The Manning Interchange and South Frontage Road realignments were completed, and Washington County and partnering agencies are working towards construction of a new grade-separated interchange at Lake Elmo Avenue and Trunk Highway 36, which is slated to be constructed in 2026 and 2027. The County Road 15 connection that we're talking about tonight will connect Manning Interchange to Stillwater Boulevard and is scheduled to start construction in 2025. Also, at the suggestion of this council, Washington County Public Works has included a study of Osgood Avenue and Trunk Highway 36 intersection in the upcoming draft capital improvement plan that will be being sent around for comments here shortly. So the project's core goals include creating and maintaining a continuous north-south arterial county roadway along County Road 15 corridor, providing safe pedestrian and bicycle connections, improve access to neighborhoods and businesses, and maintain viability of commercial and residential growth throughout the area. So this project began quite a while ago, beginning in September of 2020 when the first open house was held. This was during the design of the Manning interchange. At that time, the project was then shelved. COVID came around and things kind of just slowed down. At which point I took over the project as project manager. We held an open house in November of 2023 where we held a blank map style feedback kind of forum to solicit feedback of the area needs and what improvements residents would like to see. From there, we completed a traffic study and developed a preferred layout, which was then brought forward for another open house in May of this year, which some of you have attended. And all the open house opportunities included in-person as well as online feedback options, and postcards, emails, social media was all utilized to notify residents of upcoming events. Along the way, the project team has held several meetings with school district and Stillwater High School staff, as well as met personally with some local businesses to field any questions or comments they may have about this corridor. So the input we received from public engagement efforts indicated uses including commuting to school, work, and area retail dining opportunities. The project team received a lot of support for the pedestrian and bicycle connections along the proposed route to provide a direct paved pedestrian connection between Stillwater Boulevard and Manning Avenue. Eliminating the dependency on Trunk Highway 36 for travelers wishing to stay on Manning Avenue north or south of the interchange also solicited heavy interest. Safety, efficiency, and mobility were priorities. So the project team heard a desire for decreased traffic and reducing noise and light pollution with the project. There was a strong desire to keep the alignment away from existing neighborhoods as well as maintaining existing characteristics of the area. There were a few people that voiced concerns that this connection would never be used. So as I said, the project team completed a traffic study, and this traffic study analyzed the project area, and it was completed in both terms of today's traffic volumes as well as projected traffic volumes into the future. The study showed that the connection redistributes trips and reduces queuing at 58th Street and Stillwater Boulevard with today's traffic volumes and patterns, and all area intersections continue to operate in acceptable fashions. In the future condition, which we assumed for 2035, includes all potential development and regional growth. This connection then reduces queuing at the 58th Street and Stillwater Boulevard intersection, as well as both the Stillwater Boulevard and Manning Avenue interchanges, improving operations and reducing queuing that otherwise would approach Trunk Highway 36 through lanes with or without this connection. The queuing in proximity of the Trunk Highway traffic is a major concern, and one of the reasons an auxiliary lane on its own won't support future growth. When we account for the future developments and regional growth, we do begin to see some intersections start experiencing greater delays. And this study does recommend a couple phase 2 improvements to help plan for these future improvements. The traffic study is posted on the project website. So regarding 58th Street east of Stillwater Boulevard, our study and modeling efforts have shown that this connection is not anticipated to increase traffic along 58th Street east of Stillwater Boulevard. Trunk Highway 36 has become unsuitable for back and forth traffic across the city, and thus more and more commuters will continue to use 58th Street to get back and forth. 58th Street serves residential neighborhoods and several large business developments and plays an important role as a local collector on the local transportation network. With or without this connection, regional growth and development is anticipated to have the same impact on 58th Street. Continued planning is necessary to ensure safe and efficient travel into the future. So with all that, what's on the preferred layout? On the Manning interchange side, to the west side of the roadway, it's a 4-lane divided road with appropriate turn lanes and access. A new signal is proposed at the future development access to manage traffic onto and off of the county road, and a new trail will run along the north side of the roadway. So as we move east, the road will narrow to a 2-lane roadway with appropriate turn lanes. The side street stop control will remain at Memorial Avenue, and the plan will be to replace the pavement east of Memorial Avenue to remove the aggregate shouldering and provide a center left turn lane. Signal timing will be optimized at Stillwater Boulevard and 58th Street to account in the shift of traffic. So as I mentioned earlier, future traffic growth will necessitate the need for future improvements. Some possible future improvements include removing the split phasing of the eastbound and westbound left turn movements at 58th Street and Stillwater Boulevard, interconnecting the two signals on 58th Street, and improvements to the intersection of Memorial Avenue and the new County Road 15 connection. These future improvements could also include collaborating with the school district on improvements to the southern access onto County Highway 15. The traffic study provides a background for improvements to be able to position projects well for future grant opportunities. So with that, we're moving forward with plan development and 60% plans in November of this year. An early grading and tree clearing plan will be assembled to allow grading and tree clearing to occur in the spring of 2025, with roadway construction to follow later in 2025. The roadway is anticipated to be open in 2026. So that's all I prepared tonight for my update. The QR code on the screen and on the paper in front of you will bring you to the project website where you can find the engagement summaries, traffic study, and the project layouts.
I have a couple questions for you. When you were talking about center left turn lane, are you talking double left turns?
No, so it'll be 2 through lanes. No, so it'll be 2 through lanes. You want to go to the next slide down?
It's hard to see on the small.
Yeah, so right today, 58th Street east of Memorial is just a 2-lane roadway. It's got wide aggregate shouldering.
Right.
So we'll be proposing to replace that aggregate shouldering with pavement to allow the through lanes to widen and provide just a center left turn lane.
Okay.
So a 2-way left turn lane, per
Okay.
se.
And then on your transportation overview, you say that you're going to have a study in the draft CIP for Osgood Avenue and 36 intersection. Are you finally going to look at putting in a double turn lane?
So the study is to investigate that. It's kind of the last piece of that area that hasn't been touched yet.
How soon will you get that done?
I don't know for sure when it's labeled. I believe it's 2025 for the study.
That would be fabulous. Can you get construction done by 2025 too?
Not likely.
Okay. And then my next question, and it's kind of relative to this. I see with the maps and everything for you for the Lake Elmo Avenue interchange reconstruction, that you're going to have a southern frontage road that extends over to Keats. And then on the eastbound side, it looks like it stops at maybe Country Sun. Are you having any plans to extend that at some point, or is it somewhere buried in the CIP? I know MnDOT and the county have talked for decades about having more east-west connectors going through. If that indeed does happen, you'll have traffic then coming from Lake Elmo coming over this way and back and forth, which would potentially in the future increase more traffic.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I don't believe there's any plans to connect those two frontage roads at this time. I can't say 100% certain, so I'll have to follow up if I'm not portraying an accurate statement there, but I don't believe there's any intention to connect that.
Okay.
Going west, I can't say the same.
Okay.
That was an issue several years ago with the city of Lake Elmo because the city of Lake Elmo wanted that connection.
And that's why I've been watching it because I see it coming. I just don't know when. That's why I'm asking you when. Okay. Other questions?
I feel like our city's voiced our discontent with this project on numerous occasions, but my one question I have, which kind of is another question with the whole pedestrian access, especially crossing Stillwater Boulevard, if the intent is to go to the high school. We already have pedestrian issues, and our police are incredibly busy looking at the intersection with Neal going to the high school as well as the Kowalski's entrance. Is the county going to provide any sort of enforcement to make sure that individuals who are crossing over Stillwater Boulevard, which are again county roads, are crossing safely during the beginning of the school year?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Johnson, we wouldn't intentionally put people out there, but it's something we'd certainly monitor. It's obviously a very busy intersection and something that would be a high priority for the county to maintain and make sure that it's operating as it should be.
Perfect. Well, we'll work with you if we have any issues.
Chuck?
I go back to, the 58th Street and what's going to happen to that if this road is built, our 58th, part of 58th Street. And, to say it's not going to increase traffic there, I think makes no sense. Of course it's going to increase traffic on that road. And, even today, 36 was all backed up. I saw people, on the frontage road by my house trying to figure out how the heck they're going to get ahead of the traffic. And, I think it's just going to be a major problem for our city.
It also contradicts statements made by Commissioner Kriesel stating that this would encourage people using that frontage road to connect to our businesses like Lowe's and Walmart. So there's an inconsistency there. I don't know what to believe.
Mike?
And I would agree. My biggest frustration is especially like on the slip lane, you commented that you didn't want to put that traffic on 36, but yet that's what was done on the north side. So I hear two different things as to, well, we want to take it off, but the design on the north side has a slip lane coming off on 36 going north on Manning. Why wasn't that even considered when you guys were looking at this, and could have been working with MnDOT, and it could have been rectified right now? I think that intersection has the capacity to take all that traffic. It was no different. Stillwater was, they used to have a road that was similar to what you guys are proposing here now on 58th, and they took it out. They didn't want that across, they didn't want that going through either, there by, behind.
Long Lake,
Long Lake.
62nd Street.
Yes, that used to go all the way through, and they cut that, that was cut off. I don't understand why we're gonna push more traffic to 58th when you could have put a slip lane in, would have been way cheaper from the standpoint, and that's my next question, is how is all this being funded? And where's your funding? You're ready to start your construction, but I'm pretty sure you guys don't have all the money to make this happen yet. To me, a slip lane working with MnDOT for what was it, 1,000 feet would have been a heck of a lot cheaper than what this project is going to be. And I'm with Chuck on that. I can't believe that statement even comes out that says there's not going to be more traffic on 58th Street. I don't know how you're forcing people to come out on 58th Street. So,
I mean, why build this if you're not trying to push people to 58th Street? I mean, what's the purpose?
yeah,
Purpose of it?
the two don't go together for some reason. So
It's just not safe now with the residential area that's there, because it curves around. When those buses are pulling out from the back of the high school and somebody's coming through, there's just accidents waiting to happen. You got people pulling out of Kowalski's, it's in blind areas. People that live in Autumn Ridge have a difficult time getting in and out, and God help you if you try to get out on the back way from coming out from Menards or Kohl's. It's just it's too fast. Maybe it was badly designed in the first place, but it certainly should not have more traffic. Even though it states 40 miles an hour, it's rare to see somebody that actually goes 40.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of the council, there's a lot of questions thrown around there, and I'll start with, the slip lane piece. When we were doing the Manning interchange design, we included that slip lane, and it was at the request of MnDOT that we took it out. With that said, the Washington County, we don't not support the slip lane, and if something that the city wants to pursue with MnDOT, I don't think we would stop that from happening with MnDOT, but it is a MnDOT corridor.
Okay. Mike Grunk.
Quick question, do we know why MnDOT was opposed? Why weren't they opposed to a north slip lane, but they're opposed to a south slip lane?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Liljegren, I don't have that answer right now. I was not part of that project.
I think that the Stillwater development is the key issue
Is
there.
pushing it.
Well, but I would start with a couple things here. One, following up on the slip lane, is I talked to Adam Josephson at your open house, and he said that MnDOT had no opposition to the slip lane. He said if they wanted to build it today, if the county had wanted to build it at the time when it made sense, when you were doing Manning intersection, they would not have objected. And he says, as a matter of fact, if the county wanted to do it today, they would allow it. So, Lee, there was one question that somebody had about you had looked at the possibility if we had the slip lane and that some changes at the intersection at 5 Stillwater Boulevard would have alleviated some what their concerns are?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Councilmember Runk, the traffic study did show that in the current configuration, without that extension of 58th Street, that there would be queuing at 5 into an area of 36 that would be undesirable. One of the things that was talked about, or at least thrown out there as a possibility, is making a dual right turn at the top of that ramp, which would have then potentially alleviated that issue.
But with that, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but there's enough there that could happen, correct?
There's enough
Enough space there that could happen.
You know, a preliminary look suggested that that was the case.
Yes.
But it'll take as long as Osgood.
No, that-
I mean, it'll be, all it is, I even offered to get a gallon of paint and
No.
go out there and paint it myself.
It wouldn't because there's an old left turn at that point. When they make,
What-
the left turn is.
It's restriping and they have enough width. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
but
getting at.
the left turn lane is across on the other side of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So at that intersection, there's no left turn, so it would not have, it would still be when the right turn arrow comes on, it's just that there'd be 2 lanes moving instead of 1.
I think there could have been better designs looked at.
Well, but, so that would,
But I think that, oh, go ahead, you had some more to say.
okay, I have one question as far as Mike mentioned funds. One of the things you're talking about is grading, and having reviewed the subject matter, the grading on the western end in the Stillwater area, as I understand it, in the proposed MOU on that area, is that the grading there was in, and the plan for the drainage is all in cooperation with the developer. And that's when he was doing the grading, when he did his grading plan, it took into account the fact that the counties, where the water be coming from the county to the whole drainage plan.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Runk, you know, there's a developer there, and for the county to not be good neighbors and for the developer to say, you know, put a stormwater on our pond, it's really a taxpayer's dollar savings by us not having to build a pond in that section of
Now you're
road.
coming to my question.
Okay.
Do you have a plan B?
Yeah.
If the developer doesn't go forward, if Hive, I mean, he has said that, and he's got a letter saying that if Hy-Vee doesn't come in, the development doesn't go. And right now, the chances of Hy-Vee coming in appear to be very slim.
Yeah,
And
Madam
so-
Mayor, remember.
So now this is where the funding comes in. Councilman Liljegren mentioned, how much more money is it gonna cost if they don't do that?
Yeah,
And do you have a plan, and how much more money is it gonna cost?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Runk, as of this time with the road plans, we are planning for a self-sufficient road. So if any of these other properties fall out, we're not dependent on them. If everything works as planned, great, but we're certainly designing the road so we don't run into that issue.
And how much is it gonna cost them?
I couldn't tell you the cost off the top of my head, but it is budgeted within the allotted funds in the CIP.
And I'm seeing some faces out there going, you know, what does this, so.
You don't know even the total cost of this project?
It's early on. We're looking, you know, I didn't want to give a price right now because I don't feel like it's really necessary at this point.
What is it budgeted for?
I think there's like 9.4 million in the CIP.
So, okay, then I would want to go on and point out, I think most of you received a copy of a statement that I entered, and I would like to have that statement entered into the record. And that was to give background, and if anybody didn't get a copy when they came in, Jake still has some copies, and appreciate it if you check it out. The second thing is, basically, to me, this is a continuation, this meeting here tonight is a continuation of the fact that the county is not, and I don't say you personally, the county's not being truthful with us, and they're not being truthful with the public. And I think that's part of my statement, but then when I looked at the program that you put on tonight, you talk about the public involvement. That's a joke. I mean, you mentioned the September meeting, September 24th meeting, or it was a period from the 10th to the 24th of 2000. And I have a copy of the invitation for that night. And I'll just look at the first paragraph here. It says, Washington County is beginning a public engagement and preliminary design process to investigate opportunities to extend 58th Street west of Stillwater Boulevard within, so, okay, this sounds like you're starting this process. and you put it on here. They're starting this process, and we went through this process. I have letters here from the developer and from the county, and the person of, I'm gonna say, check it, from Don Tyson, who at that time was the head of Public Works. And I have copies from the Stillwater Planning Commission meeting of April of that year. And these letters indicate this was all decided before that meeting was ever held in September. In fact, if you look at the letter that Mr. Tyson sent, you will find a map that includes basically the road design that he presented tonight as having the result of the public input. This was done before they ever wanted a single word from us. There was no plan. You never looked at any other alternatives. And you put in here the fact that, well, they wanted to stay away from houses. Where'd that come from? That was never, you never showed a diagram saying that there was this. So, I mean, I'm just like, this is the county, you're just, why should we believe anything that the county says in regards to this road? Because, I mean, it just, this was done behind the scenes as Mr. Lampert, who's the developer, says. He says, since mid 2017, Summit Management, Hy-Vee, and Washington County have worked collaboratively to develop a plan for new interchange at County 5 and to extend the road to Stillwater Boulevard. So you come in here and say, oh no, we started this public process and we're just doing whatever. No, you've done the, as Mr. Lampert said, you and the county had sat down and drawn all this up, and then you came to us and we caused the problem because you came to us in April of 2020 and wanted us to support you in trying to get some money from the state. And we basically said, what road? And we said there we hadn't gotten any notification on it, and there had been no public process. So now you made up a public process to try and
Thanks, Mike.
fool everybody.
And obviously, it's clear we're not attacking you. Obviously, you weren't here from square one. And this is decisions outside of your range, and we've, fought this every step of the way, and ultimately it led to the county subverting local authority here. So it's not a personal attack on you, just our city board.
That's what I said at the start.
I know that's hard for you, but
Yeah.
the reason we asked you to come was we had a developer come with a proposal for the city, and there was full chambers here that night, and this 58th Street issue came up as far as curb cuts and things for the future. So the invitation was given to you so that people from the neighborhoods could ask you some of the questions, see the presentation, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to ask any questions of you, and we won't pick on it anymore.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Member of Council, I'm happy to field any questions, but, this wasn't meant to be an open forum or a public, open house, but I'm happy to field questions.
Questions, general questions. Is there any, or do you think you got your questions answered from the presentation? Looks good.
I mean, can we just make statements?
If you come up, and give your name and address, though.
Sandra Howlett, 5685 Newberry Avenue North. So we've lived in this house 12 years, and first of all, I don't quite understand why there needs to be a corridor from Manning to Stillwater when there already is one, namely 36. So, I mean, they're so close to each other, it literally is confusing to me. It makes no sense that we have a perfectly valid highway, or whatever the road is called, that we would need another corridor parallel to it so close. Particularly, it's, as you have stated earlier, it's very, very difficult to get in and out of the Autumn Ridge neighborhood where we live. And apparently they don't need our support to do this, but I would not be supportive of anything that adds even, a fraction of amount of traffic to 58th. It's just gotten harder and harder to get out of there. And of course, I'm getting older and older too. So, but I don't understand it. And it really seems the intent is to direct traffic from 36, which seems ludicrous to me. I don't see any benefit to the community on a local level. And I had a friend who said, oh, well, nobody's going to use 58th if they really want to travel on 36. And I said, I'm a native of Los Angeles, and people absolutely, when something gets blocked, it's like water finding a crack. They will find any and every way to divert around traffic, even if it's just for 2 blocks or half a mile or whatever it is, because it is so anxiety causing, that traffic. And that's all I have to say.
Yes.
I wasn't going to speak, but I'm here. Karen Housley, I'm a resident of Autumn Ridge, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the residents of Autumn Ridge. And she already did, and a couple of you others have also. But today was a mess. It was a mess, and with 36 becoming a parking lot, people are going to their apps, all of their Waze and Apple Maps, and I saw it happen today. People were diverting, and there's going to be more and more traffic on Highway 36, and we're making it better and better as we go further west with the interchange at Manning and then Lake Elmo. But when there's a backup with more traffic, like she said, it's like water finding another pathway. And with those apps, it is so easy. And I will confess, I do it every time I drive home from Brainerd. I'm like looking for the shortcut right around St. Cloud through neighborhoods. And it is already so dangerous getting out of Autumn Ridge and getting out of Kowalski's and getting out of the high school. You have teenage drivers coming out of the high school, and then you have many senior apartments and Boutwells that you've got elder drivers too, that this extra traffic is so scary for me. And I have supported all of the projects with the Manning Interchange, Lake Elmo Interchange, because it's making it safer, and we want to continue to make it safer. But taking any of that traffic off 36 and diverting it to the south side is only going to make another passageway for cars to get through. And I do have one question for the county. I know there isn't a cost, and this is just for the county. Where is the funding? Are you planning on getting it from? Is it going to, are you coming to the state for some of the money, or is it all going to be county funded, or are you going to ask Oak Park Heights, Stillwater, Lake Elmo? That's my question. Thank you.
We already said no.
Yeah.
Karen, did you get a copy of my statement?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get it. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of the council, so we'll just talk on, the funding aspects. Right now, we're using our transportation sales tax to fund the project, as well as local contributions from the city of Stillwater.
Okay. Is that going to cover the entirety, or, okay, thank you. Is there any other comments?
My name is Deb LaRue, and I live in Autumn Ridge neighborhood as well. I live at 13140 56th Street, and I have been a resident for just over 26 years, so I've seen a lot of change on 58th Street with every new development, whether it's Kohl's or whether it's whatever that commercial has been. It has added tremendous amount of traffic. I will particularly note when there was the detour to create the roundabout over by Walmart, and people discovered 58th Street to get around, to get over a shortcut to get over to Lowe's or whatever. The traffic increase was huge, of course, during the detour, but it really hasn't slowed down that much at all. And so just anecdotally, I have no traffic study to say, but it is extremely difficult. I will not go out onto 58th Street from Newberry, way too dangerous. That corner that comes around, whether they're elderly drivers, student drivers, school buses, whatever it is, that is a blind intersection, and I will not take a risk of my life or my car or my family going out that way, and it's getting just as difficult to get out on Newgate. So, very anecdotal, but I've seen a lot of history, and every change has significantly improved or increased the traffic and, in my eyes, the danger of leaving my neighborhood.
Well, thank you.
I have one more
I'll let Mike go
point. You mentioned contributions from the city of Stillwater to the construction. The contribution from the city of Stillwater construction is based on their tax abatement, which is based on the fact that those buildings will be built. They've got $3 million that's to cover the Stillwater. The Stillwater cost was going to be covered through the tax abatement funds that they receive once the buildings are built. If they're not built, they're not going to be in position to cough up the money that you're figuring they are. That's where they intend to get it, is from the construction.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of the council, at this point, I believe the city of Stillwater is planning to use state aid funding for their portion of this cost share.
And then my other kind of comment / question relates to real estate, which I know Senator Housley has more expertise than I do on this topic. But my mom's here tonight, to her comment that she's probably not going to be too nervous to share, is one of our neighbors in that neighborhood has been attempting to sell their property. And because it's been a hard time getting out on 58th Street, they've actually lost potential buyers. That the feedback from the realtors and neighbors that talked to them was, getting out on 58th Street is prohibiting me from buying this home that would otherwise be a great purchase. So I don't think the county's done any real estate studies. To the extent they have, I'd be very curious to see them, but I'm assuming not.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of the council, as the county, we manage roads, regional authority, making sure that people can get around. So we haven't done anything.
Okay, thanks.
Well, thank you for coming and giving the presentation and listening to some of the comments, and hopefully you'll share some of those comments back with Wayne Sandberg and others in the county board.
Certainly.
But
Yeah.
really appreciate you being here.
Thank you guys for having
Oh, wait,
us.
I guess there's a couple more questions. Go ahead.
Another question.
Sure.
And I'll be brief. Thank you very much. Kirk Schultz, 5660 Newgate Circle. And I too have lived in Autumn Ridge for, I think now about 28 years. So in turn, we've seen a lot of development. It appears to me that this road has already been bookmarked and it's going to happen. So now what's the solution for Autumn Ridge? And I think that's the approach that we need to take. It boggles my mind why this wasn't addressed when they did Highway 36 at Manning, the ramps that are going off over there. This appears to be a development issue to me, being fostered by the city of Stillwater. So therefore, what I'd like to know, at least either from our city or from the county, what do the traffic studies say from Norrell to Neal? That's what I would like to know, and has that been studied?
Lee?
I think we did.
So the, Madam Mayor, members of the council, the traffic study did look at intersections up to Neal, I believe, and it does show what the build, no build, existing, et cetera, data is. As far as how that's relating to the rest of the roadway, that's something that would probably need some further study.
And of course, then just because I travel 58th Street, I travel Manning north and south, so I see a lot of that traffic. But yet what has not happened is any development from Stillwater Boulevard over to Manning. And when that all fills in with the development from those intersections, now what's going to happen to that traffic? So I think we need to look at solutions, either lights at Norrell and Neal to be able to time those lights, or something of that form. But that's what I think we're going to have to do. I operate resorts up in Cook County. We just cut down trees and we don't let people through. So,
Thanks, Rick.
thank you.
And I thought I saw somebody else had a hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Beth Johnson. I am Carly's mom. I'm not too shy to talk.
I'm going to say, is she going to listen to you?
No, not at all. Not full disclosure, she doesn't talk to me about this stuff and is very respectful of this. I'd like to thank my neighbors for speaking up. They're speaking the truth. The thing that I'm confused about is that this does sound like a foregone conclusion, but it doesn't make sense to me when we don't know the full cost. We don't have the traffic study. We have anecdotal information from people who've been here for a long time, including myself. I've been in the neighborhood for 20 years. And I second what everybody is saying. I would never go out Newberry. And if I host a dinner party, and I have Sunday dinner every Sunday night with my kids, I say, do not let me see you leave my cul-de-sac hanging a right-hand turn, knowing that you're gonna hang a left onto Newberry, because I want you at my house next Sunday. So how do we stop this freight train coming? And I read what Mike wrote. Thank you so much. You put a lot of work into it, and you have the history. And to me, it's a no-brainer that this should not happen. So I appreciate that, what are the solutions, because that makes sense. It does sound like a foregone conclusion, but why? And what can we do to stop this?
Thanks, Beth. Thanks. It's unfortunate that we were not contacted early on in the process. It was already moving on down before we ever got notified of some of the issues. Stillwater and the county were well on before we heard a word about it. So
I think Councilmember Johnson made that comment. Where did it come from? It come from the developer.
Right.
Because from what Councilmember Runk has heard, wasn't MnDOT putting a stop to it. Why would you spend all this extra money on putting in this roadway versus putting in 1,000-foot slip lane on the south like you did on the north? It makes no sense whatsoever.
When there is, how do you stop it? Our county commissioner position is open. There's 2 people running for it. Let's find out where they stand.
Now, when people have called me, I've told, obviously the first thing is, well, call your county commissioner. And I told them, don't stop there. Call all 5 county commissioners and call all 5 Stillwater council members, because it's the 5 of each of those entities that made the decisions, not just one person.
Yeah, if I could just make a few statements, Madam Mayor, members of the council. So again, the slip lane, it functions in the interim. When we start looking out into the future with all the future development and just regional growth of the area, that's when we start to see that slip lane not function and start actually breaking down those both interchanges, Stillwater Boulevard and Manning.
But my point back to that would be is then why did you do it on the north side? If you think it can't, if that's your opinion and your comment back on not doing the south slip lane, why'd you do the north slip lane?
Yeah, and
it's going to be traffic both ways, either way.
And I was not part of those projects, but
Sure,
I know the development on the north side. The hospital is looking at making that connection of 62nd along the frontage road. And with that, I know the city has some planning documents out there with 2032 for 58th Street. Sounds like there's issues today, and I know the county would be happy to partner on funding opportunities and grants to make the project right. So
We'll look forward to that.
perfect. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for your time.
And briefly answer our residents' question on what we've looked at in terms of solutions. We have talked to our city engineer to look at possible ways to fix both entrances and exits.
Right.
So that's in our engineer's competent hands.
He'll come up with great solutions. He always does.
He'll fix all problems.
Well, hopefully that helped a little bit. Thank you all for coming tonight. So are there any other council announcements?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson, second by Councilmember Liljegren. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.